Hello, my name is Robert Larson. I'm the owner of the Larson Law Office in Mesa, Arizona, and I'm an attorney who focuses primarily on family law and estate planning. And today I want to talk about whether Arizona recognizes equal rights for child custody issues. And by child custody, what I really mean is legal decision making and parenting time. And those are two separate issues that have differences, and I've done videos where I've talked about those, so I'll try to post links below where you can reference those videos if you'd like. But for ease, I'm just going to talk about child custody today because that's the terminology that most people use. So I've had many people over the years tell me that they know Arizona's a mother's state, and what they mean by that is that mothers have greater rights than fathers when it comes to custody issues. And I've heard that from mothers and I've heard that from fathers, and the reality is that's not really true. It may have been true many years ago, but Arizona is pretty strong when it comes to having equal rights for both parents. And there's not a law that you can look to anywhere that says Arizona is an equal rights state, or Arizona just presumes that custody is going to be 50-50 unless you can prove otherwise. But what they do is they have a law, and I'm going to hold it up here for a second so you can look at it. Not that you can read it very carefully, but you can look it up yourself. You can just look up online. It's Arizona Revised Statutes, or ARS, Section 25-103. And what that does is it says that it is the declared public policy of the state to promote strong families, to promote strong family values, et cetera, et cetera. And then in Section B, this is the part that judges mostly look to when it comes to deciding that Arizona starts out at 50-50 and you have to prove something different if you don't want it to be 50-50. So basically it says it is the declared public policy of this state and the general purpose of this title that, absent evidence to the contrary, it is in a child's best interest, one, to have substantial, frequent, meaningful, and continuing parenting time with both parents, and two, to have both parents participate in decision making about the child. So pay attention to the way this is written. First of all, it starts out kind of with the exception, and then it states the rule. So the exception is absent evidence to the contrary, and then it gives you the rule. When it comes to parenting time, it is the public policy of the state of Arizona for children to have substantial, frequent, meaningful, and continuing parenting time with both parents. Now, pay attention to the way they wrote that. It's the children's right, it's the children's benefit to have substantial, frequent, meaningful time with both parents. It's not the parents' right to have time with their children, it's the children's right to have time with both parents. So most judges interpret substantial, frequent, and meaningful to be equal, because the most frequent that children can have time with both parents is 50-50. Any time up to that, you're increasing time for both parents, but once you hit 50-50, you can't increase time with one parent without decreasing it with the other. So that substantial and frequent is interpreted by most judges to be 50-50. Then the part about the legal decision making, the second part. Again, it's written as the children's right, not the parents' right, but it's the children's right to have both parents participate in decision making about the child. So those are the rules. The general rule is it's the children's right to have frequent time with both parents, and two, both parents involved in making decisions about their lives. Then you get to the exception, and like I said, they wrote in the exception at the beginning instead of the end, but it says absent evidence to the contrary. So if you want to not have a 50-50 parenting schedule, or you want to have sole decision-making authority, then you're the one who has to prove the exception. You're the one who has to prove that there is evidence to the contrary. So that evidence could be a number of different things. But if you want to have 50-50, all you have to do is say, hey, it's the public policy of the state for children to have time with frequent time with both parents, and for both parents to be involved in their decisions, and there's no evidence to the contrary. And if there isn't any evidence, it's probably going to be 50-50. But if you're the parent who's arguing against 50-50, you're the one who's going to have to come up with some kind of evidence showing that the judge should go differently from what the general rule is. And also another thing, I already mentioned it once, is that it's written as the children's rights and not the parents' rights. So anytime you're arguing in court, whether you're filing documents with the court or whether you're actually in the courtroom, you always want to phrase everything in terms of the children's rights and how it affects the children, because the law doesn't say anything about how custody orders affect parents. It's all about how it affects children. So every time you're talking about things, you want to phrase it in terms that it's focusing on the children. So in other words, when you're saying, hey, if I don't have the children more frequently, it's going to hurt my relationship with my child. It's going to be something that I don't enjoy. The same situation can be turned around in a much better way, in a much more persuasive way to a judge by saying, hey, it's going to hurt the child's relationship with the parent. It's going to make things worse for the child to not have equal time with me, for example. And so that's something you should remember anytime you're dealing with these things, because the law is written in terms of what's best for the children and not what's best for the parents. So again, that's ARS 25-103. Again, it doesn't specifically state that Arizona is a 50-50 state, but it pretty much is interpreted that way based on the way it's written and by the way the judges look at it. So anyway, if you have any questions, feel free to call. If you found this video helpful, make sure to subscribe so that you can get more, and like so that other people can see it. And we'll talk to you later.